Every time I get on a live, there goes my nose. Oh. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Sorry guys, I was sitting funny. Hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Fix my settings. I'm Jim from Everett, Washington. Jim, you've been here before, right? You look familiar. Aw, thanks for the heart. Me what? Aw, thank you for the heart. It's awesome. Muskogee, Oklahoma. Oh, thank you for the rose. And is it Kim? Sorry guys, all of a sudden it started going crazy here. Number 5 fan club. Awesome, thank you. Thank you for the badge. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And the likes. Yes, okay. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Thank you for the likes, guys. There's my cat right on schedule. As soon as I get on a live, he starts his lovely little cat call usually, if you're new here. I'm just going to let a few more people hop on, guys, and then I'll get started. There he goes. Can you hear him? Itty bitty, you're fine. He drives me crazy. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota. Angela's in the house. Welcome back, Angela. That's so cute. He never does it except for either in the middle of the night or when I'm on a live. It never fails. Upstate New York, welcome. Tammy, is it Tammy? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Joni, is that right? North Carolina, welcome. Glad to have you here. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Linda Lou, Syracuse, New York, welcome. Glad to have you here. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Utah, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that so much. Okay guys, it looks like our numbers are up, so I'm going to get started. So I'm going to apologize in advance if you've been here before, you've heard this a million times. Westfield, Massachusetts. Do you have a name and where you're from? Diane, is that from Iowa? Where in Iowa are you from? Born and raised. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. So like I said, if you've been here before, I apologize that you get to hear the rundown a million times, but here we go. So if you're new here, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. I've been on TikTok a little over a year. In September 14th of 2023, for TikTok purposes, my husband unalived himself. And that's when I discovered that I have abilities to talk to my guides, and then I slowly breadcrumbed me to my purpose, which is to be here with all you lovely people. Kathy from Florida, welcome. Close to Sioux City. Okay, well I probably know where that is because I used to live in Blair also and have been in that area a bunch of times. So I'm from over between Mason City and Ames, Iowa. So right off of I-35. Glad to have you here. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And so, like I was saying, I discovered that I have these abilities to talk to my guides, and they slowly breadcrumbed me to my purpose, which is to help others with their loss, and that I had to go through everything that I went through in my life so that way I could help others. So I only have 2 rules here. I just, one, ask that everybody be kind. And the second one is we don't talk politics here just because there's no place here for that. That's just not what my page is about. Not against one side or the other. We just don't talk about that here. And the other thing is I always like to say I am where I am on my journey of life, and you are where you are on your journey of life. And none of us are going to agree on everything. And so we just agree to disagree here. And if you can't do that, then I just ask that you hop off and keep scrolling. That's it. And when I go live, I generally have a topic. I get it from my guides. They actually give it to me yesterday. But because it was Easter, I made the call to not do a live last night. It was kind of a crazy busy day for me, and Sundays are my only day off. And so I decided to take the night off. So tonight our topic is building trust with yourself. And it's a long one, guys. My guide gave me a whole bunch of stuff. So normally, if you're not familiar, like I said, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Sometimes my guides will just give me a topic and go on and talk, right? And then other times they give me a topic and then they give me some stuff to talk about. So I'm going to get started. Just know that my page is your page. You're never interrupting me. If you have anything you need to discuss or vent about, you have a loss, that's what my page is about. Oh, wow. Sorry, I just seen an orb. Hi from Florida, Heather. Glad to have you here. And I always believe the discussion goes where it's supposed to go. So if we get off topic, we get off topic. I believe it goes where it's supposed to go. So the first thing my guide said was, be committed to yourself, right? And something that I wrote next to that is, and so like I said, pipe in anytime. This is how my page works. I talk, you talk, we talk to each other, we ask questions. Sorry, now my cat's going crazy on my bed. Hold on, are you stuck? There he goes. He was stuck. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. But so what I wrote down next to this is, so be committed to yourself. And I wrote, consistency is key, right? If you want to be committed to yourself, it's helpful if you're consistent, right? Heather, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Oh, and the rose. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. So what does it look like to be committed to yourself? Anybody want to hop on and chat with me tonight? Just Jen, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Oh, and all the likes, guys. Yeah, keep tapping that like button because that really does help my page a lot, guys. Anybody want to hop on and got anything to add? Hopefully they'll let your comments come through. I have all my filters off, but sometimes they filter my comments anyway, except for the trolls, that is. Never fails. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. So what does it look like to be committed to yourself? Connie, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And all the likes, guys. So what I wrote down is not dimming your light, right? Being committed to yourself by not dimming your light. Being who you truly are and not dimming your light for anybody. You're still learning this skill. Okay, well, and that's a good thing, right? That's good because one, that you're learning. A lot of times people choose to just stay in what they're in and not learn, right? I believe that we should always be learning and evolving as people. And that's okay, right? If you're working on it, then that's a good thing. So what's another way? How does that look? Putting your needs first. Anybody here have a problem with that? Sorry. By this time of night, I'm really tired. I'm usually up by 4:30. My day starts at 4:30, so I get a little goofy, a little silly, so I apologize. But I know for my case, I really struggle. Before my husband passed, I struggle with putting myself first and my needs first. Anybody else? Yes? Is it John? Welcome. Heather, you do? Cat Coop, do you have a name? Where are you from? I do. I take care of everyone else. Yes, I can't put myself first. Okay. So I'm glad that you're all here tonight because we're going to talk a lot about that, right? And it's really important. One of the things I talk about, Kathy from Florida. Did you tell me that already? I apologize if you did. I'm so sorry. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. We cannot always put ourselves first. No, but there's a certain extent. What I always say is we have to give ourselves self-care, right? If we are trying to take from an empty cup to give to others, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work very well, right? I can honestly say if you're new here, I've said this a gazillion times, as a mother and as a wife, there was a lot of times I feel that I fell short because I was always trying to give from an empty cup, right? I never filled my cup first. I was always giving to the kids, giving to my husband. But how much better of a mother and a wife would I have been, and maybe even a friend for that matter, or a daughter or whatever it may be, if I had filled up my cup first and then doled it out, right? And so I like to use the analogy when you're on a plane, right? What do they tell you when they're giving you the instructions for the oxygen mask, right? What do they say? If you have kids or whoever with you, right? They always say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then tend to your kids, because if you don't help yourself first, you're no good to them, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I have felt the same way as a father and a husband. I am kind of drained. I understand. And that's where we get, right? So then we're completely depleted and we're trying to give, right? But there's nothing left of us to give. So then that makes us what? Maybe an angry mother, an angry father, an angry sister, angry wife. We're angry, we're drained, we're, and then are we really giving? Because we're not really giving. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? We're giving, but we're not giving because we're not giving it our all. Because we're so drained, then we're taking from that empty cup, right? Vulnerable, stuck. Yep. And so this is a topic my guide likes to talk about a lot, is the self-care and giving to yourself. How people really need to realize how important it is. And I never did, because I always thought, okay, I'm giving, right? And so that makes me a good person because I'm giving everything to my kids, I'm giving everything to my husband, but I wasn't giving anything to myself. And like I said, how many times looking back, it's like, what, I had to have been the most awful wife and awful mother because I was literally giving from an empty cup all the time. So just putting that out there. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Like I said, you're never interrupting me, felt selfish to take care of me. But there's little ways, and we're going to talk about that tonight. If you stay with me, we're going to talk about little ways where we can do that and not feel, and that's the thing, is not feeling selfish, right? And I'm going to get to that. So you are allowed, the next thing she gave me, and you guys can keep talking to me. You're never interrupting me. I just try to keep up with the chat the best I can. But I understand what you're saying. I totally do, because that's how I used to feel. But now looking back, I'm like, was it really selfish of me to be a horrible mother and a horrible wife? And maybe I wasn't horrible, but you know what I'm saying. Because I was giving from that empty cup, I wasn't really giving them the care that they deserved because I thought I was being selfish. So I didn't take time for myself. Do you understand where I'm going with that? So it's like this vicious cycle, right? And so my guide says, you are allowed, this is the next thing, and we're going to get to all of that too, what we were just talking about. You are allowed to grow out of spaces you do not feel are for you anymore. So that's another way that you can show up for yourself, right? And what does that look like, right? There's people and places and things that you outgrow, right? And hopefully, if you're growing as a person, constantly growing and changing and learning, Not everybody does. Not everybody wants to evolve or grow or change as a person. But if you do, then that means that sometimes, unfortunately, we outgrow people. We outgrow spaces. We outgrow places. We outgrow things, right? And sometimes, and I tell everybody, because a lot of times people will hop on when we've talked about this and they're like, yeah, but some of those people that I outgrow, I can't get away from them. And you don't necessarily have to get away from them. Maybe just pull back from them, right? Don't focus or give them as much time as you would have before in the past, right? Like, sometimes they're just people that you can't pull back from. It's not possible. I feel like a mean girl to expose this to girls. Fiance has been cheating on with me. Exposed to girls. Fiance has been Ezra. Girls. Fiance has been cheating with. Okay, so somebody's fiance's been cheating with you? Is that what you're saying? Hi from Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome. Is it Brian? Thank you for the badge. Should I tell her? You're the one that's been cheating. Can you clarify that for me? Thank you for the badge. Yes. So this girl's fiance has been cheating on her with you. And now you want to know if you should tell her. You didn't know he was engaged. Well, obviously. I mean, I understand. Sometimes there's circumstances where they don't tell you or whatever. I understand that. And you will never get judgment here from me anyway. We're all on our own journey and things happen. Life is life. And there's a lot of gray areas. Give me a second. Let me think about that one. Belinda, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Well, let me ask you some tricky questions. And just so you all know, I'm not a sugarcoater here, so I'm going to give it to you straight. Once you found out that he was engaged, did you break it off with him? Or are you still mingling? Just curious. And like I said, there's no judgment. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Just a question so I can help answer your question. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. First of all, I haven't spoken to him at all and avoiding him. Okay. I would say that's good. I'm just going to point out maybe some facts. Okay. So first of all, if he's engaged to her, right, and he's willing to cheat on her with you, that says he's probably not a great person. So yeah, that's probably wise. But honestly, I think you need to be straightforward with him. I guess how I would handle it, and I'm just going to give you my 2 cents. How I would handle it is I would go to him and be like, look, I didn't know you were engaged. I don't want anything to do with you. I wouldn't avoid him. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. But I would confront him and be like, look, this is over. I didn't know you were engaged. Now that I know, I don't want to take part in this. Because how sleazy is he, right? Like I said, if he's willing to cheat on her, he's probably cheating on you too, if you know what I'm saying. And then I would just give him the option. You need to be upfront with her. And if, and then you decide, you have to make that decision. I can't, you just tell him, you need to tell her or I'm going to tell her. I mean, that's an option. I don't know. I'm not in that situation, but that's kind of where I would go with it. But I would go to him first for sure. And give him the chance to maybe come clean first before you just go and break her heart. Okay, I see what he's doing. He's older than me, molding me to be hit. Yeah, sadly. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's kind of how I would handle it. Maybe give him the chance to come clean. I'm not sure how you would know. I don't know, but that's up to you. I think the girl has a right to know. Especially, if she's like madly in love with this guy and she still plans to marry him. I mean, if it was me, like I said, I'm a straight shooter. I would want somebody to tell me, right? I wouldn't want to marry this guy that's cheating with somebody else. And I want to break from that so much, but you're a little torn. You're torn from breaking it off with him. Is that what you're saying? Just curious. Sorry, elaborate a little more. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. I'm going to keep going here, but just keep talking to me. You're all good. You're good. Anybody else have anything else to say about what we're talking about? Let's see. Oh, I wrote something and it doesn't make sense. Imagine that. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And all the likes. Let's see. Let nothing come between you and your vision for yourself, right? So this is another thing where, what is your vision for you? What are your goals? What are your dreams? I need to okay. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. And so this kind of goes back to the self-care, building trust with yourself also, because what do you want out of life? It's important to not forget about you. If you're new here and you're not familiar, so my husband and I don't know if you caught this, but my husband unalived himself a little over a year and a half ago. And I was completely codependent on my husband. And we were together for 32 years, never apart more than 2 weeks. And I wasn't sure I was going to stay on this planet. So first of all, if you're here, we talk about sensitive content, please don't report me. That being said, until I didn't have a light bulb, because I didn't know how to move on without him. I'd never been without him. I'd been with him since I was 16 years old. And so until my daughter said to me, she said, "Mom, you realize your life is worth living, right?" I really didn't realize that it was, right? She's like, your life is worth living too, Mom. And it's like, okay. And I was kind of on a self-exploration, spiritual journey a little before my husband passed. Kind of starting to learn to love myself. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And so let me see. I got a point here, I promise. I just get a little sidetracked sometimes by this time of night. And so I was becoming so codependent on my husband that I wasn't pursuing who I wanted to be or the things I wanted to do. Bentley, no. Sorry, my dog was going to tip over my tripod. Lay down, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the follow. And so I was becoming so codependent on my husband. One, I didn't know who I was, right? I didn't know who I was for probably at least 6 to 8 months after my husband died, because I had been so immersed in being with my husband for 32 years and being a mom and a wife and doing all these things that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know me. I didn't love me. And I sure in the heck didn't have any dreams. I mean, we had dreams and goals and things like that we had planned together, right? Like plans. But I didn't have any like goals, right? Like my goal in life was to go sit on the beach for the rest of my life, right? I love the beach. The beach is my happy place. And there's nothing wrong with that, And then after my husband passed, I discovered that I wasn't on my path to my purpose. This was always my purpose. My purpose was to be here and to go through the loss and the traumas that I went through so then I could help other people go through loss and trauma. And learn how to, find yourself. That was my purpose in life. And I was so far from that. And so I kind of needed a course correction. And that's what I feel that happened, right? I truly believe that even though my husband checked out, that it was his time. He was here for a short time to help me become the person I needed to be to fulfill my purpose. And I wasn't fulfilling that purpose. And so, like I said, I kind of needed a course correction. Anyway, so that was kind of my point though, was I no longer had a vision for myself, right? So going back to building trust with yourself and being committed to yourself. What are your dreams, goals, ambitions, right? Never put you completely on the back burner, and not have goals and dreams and aspirations for yourself. Because even if you're like me, I had 4 kids, but well, I had 4 births, but 3 kids by the time I was 23, right? And so I always felt like I needed more and wanted to be more. And when you're immersed in being a mother for 25 years, you're like, I don't need, this is apparently my life goal, right? Is to be a mother and a wife and whatever. Well, eventually your kids leave, right? And then you have to figure out, who are you, right? So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. I'm going to keep moving on. If anybody has anything to say, like I said, you're never interrupting me, just pipe in. Aw, thank you for the heart. Appreciate that so much. Keep hitting that like button too, guys. That really does help me out a bunch. Thank you for the badge too. I appreciate that. So let's see. There are many times through your day to appreciate yourself. So what does that look like, right? When you're going about your day, how can you appreciate yourself? And this is where, again, self-care, right? Maybe you're on a lunch hour and you could take a small walk, and which is good for your health, Maybe go to the gym like I do. I work 2 jobs, and sometimes in between jobs, right now I can't, but there for a while I was able to go to the gym and then go back to work or whatever it may be, right? So appreciating yourself, treating yourself through the day, right? How are other ways that you can treat yourself through the day? And I want to hop back up to the top too, because I also wrote down forming good habits, right? And here's the thing. What do most people do, right? New Year's Day, New Year's resolution. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to blah, 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 blah down the line, right? Whatever that may be. Right? And how many people stick to that? And so that's why I wrote down consistency is the key. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that so very much. Choose to gift to your live. Aw, thank you so much. Appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. My name is Renee. Welcome. Glad to have you here. I'm from South Dakota. And here's the thing, is being accountable to yourself, right? How many times are we not accountable to ourselves? We say, I want to eat better. I want to exercise. I want to get better sleep. And then what do? Right? We don't get better sleep. We stop, we maybe exercise for a week. We maybe eat good for 3 days, and then we're like, I don't want it. Is that being accountable to yourself? Right? Showing commitment to yourself, and that's important. If you were committing to somebody else, would you stick to your commitment? So yourself shouldn't be any different, right? Actually, yourself should be just as important, if not more important, committing to doing something like that for yourself as it is committing to somebody else, right? And like I said, being accountable to yourself. It's no different than being accountable to somebody else, right? Okay, let me flip over here, see what else she's got to say. Anybody got anything else they want to add or talk about? Anybody? Never giving up or losing hope. Let's see, will give you reasons. Life will give you reasons to give up and to not have hope, right? And I tell everybody, if you're new here, I've said this a gazillion times. For a long time of that 32 years, I lived in survival mode. Okay. I give up hope on myself. Life had given me reasons to give up, and I did what I had to do, and I just lived in survival mode. Right. I completely had given up on myself. I never give myself self-care. I never was committed to myself, because I always overcommitted to everyone else and everything else, right? And like I said, sometimes it's okay to pull back from those people and places and things and be more committed to yourself than you are. Not saying you have to be completely not committed to church, your family, kids, whatever it is that's important to you. But why aren't you number one priority, right? we don't put us as number one priority. Why not? That's the question you should ask yourself. Why not? Why are you not committed 100% to yourself? If you can be 100% committed to your husband or 100% committed to your children, why is it a bad thing, and why can't you be 100% committed to yourself? Just a good question. Let's see. You have the power to show up as your best self every day, right? And I know sometimes there are days that I struggle with this, but since my husband passed, I've decided I get up every day, and even on my days off, I try, not always, but generally I get up and, I might not do my hair, but I usually wash my face. I, put my makeup on because I'm showing up for myself. And maybe makeup isn't for you. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, how can you show up for yourself and, each day to make you feel better? Thank you for the badge. And I just missed that comment. 100% committed to the revolution. Okay. I didn't know there was a revolution, but yes, there is. We don't talk politics here. So if that relates to politics, I just have to ask you to refrain. Okay. Thank you. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. I want to show up for me, but feeling really low. Okay. One thing that I discovered works really good for me when I'm in my low times is journaling, meditation. Do some meditation, get outside. Do you know anything about grounding? But journaling is amazing. And making sure every day you're journaling what you're grateful for, right? If you're new here, I talk about all the time. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. I talk about all the time how it's important to... I lost my total train of thought. Sorry, guys. It'll come back to me. Give me a sec. But journaling is really beneficial. You can, write how you feel and be grateful. That's what I was going to say. So when my husband first passed, I think I'm going to lose it again. Gosh darn it. I apologize, guys. I know I shouldn't do my live so late, but this is how it just works out in my schedule. I just lost it again. It'll come back. I promise. I'm sorry. DJ, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Showing up for yourself. Yes, showing up for yourself for sure. But gratitude. That's what it was. Okay, so when my husband first passed, basically my entire world of 32 years crumbled. Okay, and so the door to my past was just shut on me. I had no say in anything. It was just gone, right? The only thing that resembled my life was my apartment and my kids and my grandkids. That's it. My life was gone. Everything was stripped of me. It was gone, right? And so I was kind of stuck, right? And what I discovered is the more that I tried to be grateful, even though I felt stuck and I felt, like my life was ripped from me, the more grateful that you are, the easier it is for things to come into you, right? So I truly believe in, God, the divine source, whatever it is that you believe, right? The more that you put out there that you're grateful, the more that you will receive, right? If you're sitting there complaining, I don't have, you get more of, I don't have. That's just my thought. I like the idea of thinking what I am grateful for. Yes, and my guide actually, I can't talk ever. Every once in a while, she gives us an assignment on here. And she always talks about doing at least 3 things every day, writing in your journal 3 things that you're grateful for every day. And you will find, for me, it is very, very helpful. And it also helps me, a journal helps me stay present because my past is gone and I'm wanting to skip forward to my future because I'm kind of stuck in the hallway at the moment. And so it helps grounding and journaling and doing all of that and being grateful. helps me stay present. So yes, that's a great one, is just showing that you're grateful, and that'll build your spirits too, because it's like, and I try not to write the same thing every day. I love staying in the present when I watch my son Zane play basketball. Oh, that's awesome. And that's just it, right? And I was learning how to be present before my husband passed, right? We would take little trips, and my husband was always the photographer guy, right? He was always the one taking pictures of everything. And he's like, aren't you going to did you take any pictures of that? And I'm like, no, because I was learning to just be present, right? And sometimes I would forget to take pictures because I was just learning how to just escape in that moment and be in that moment, right? Okay, where did I leave off? Sorry. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Let's see. You cannot let life break you. So commit to yourself. You have the power to show up as your best self every day. Okay, so that's what we were talking about. Do things that make yourself feel good every day so you can show up for yourself, right? Like I said, I get up and I put my makeup on. I never used to do that before my husband passed. I get up, I put my makeup on. Maybe makeup isn't your thing, but find something that is your thing, right? But show up and commit to yourself every day. There was a time in high school that I learned this little trick that, when I would just be lazy and I would wear sweatpants and I didn't put any makeup on and I didn't do my hair, and maybe you go to work or you go to school or wherever it is you go for the day, how do you feel, right? Think about this. How do you feel? But if you go in your closet and you put your outfit on that you really like, that makes you feel good inside, and you do your hair or whatever it may be that makes you feel good, and then you go out in the world, what is the contrast, right? What is the difference, right? Do you feel as good when you're in sweatpants? And maybe you do. I'm a sweatpants girl too sometimes, not saying I'm not, but I'm just saying, when you're not showing up for yourself, how do you see the difference of how you feel in the world, right? Just an observation. Let's see. Getting up and spending time with yourself. Okay, so for 12 years, I did Mary Kay when my kids were growing up, right? And I had a Mary Kay director that used to harp on us all the time about getting up early, right? Not sleeping in. And there's nothing wrong with sleeping in sometimes, but getting up early and spending time with yourself. Maybe if you're a mom and, say your kids get up every day at 8 o'clock. Maybe you get up at 7 o'clock and you spend between 7 and 8 o'clock, maybe taking a walk outside or listening to meditation music and meditating or doing yoga or whatever it is that you do, right? Just sitting there drinking your coffee. I'm a protein shake girl. I don't drink coffee. I like to get up a few minutes before work and I drink my protein shake. I do my meditation. I get daily messages from my guides. So I get my messages. I usually get my reels put out. I have time. Obviously I don't have young kids anymore. All my kids are grown. But looking back, I kind of wish I would have listened to my director a little more and got up, but I preferred sleep more. And each to their own. Let's see. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. So if you're just hopping on, tonight we're talking about building trust with yourself, committing to yourself, and what does that look like? Let's see. And then basically my guide just said, remember, the journey is yours. And it is solely yours, right? And, make it the best journey that you can make it, right? Because in this lifetime, I believe there's multiple lifetimes. And like I said, you can agree to disagree, and I would never put my beliefs on somebody else. But in this lifetime, you get one go around in this lifetime, and it's your journey. So why not make it and live it how you want? Just saying. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about? Anything they need to get off their chest or vent about? Looks like I'm losing everybody. I just have a couple of things. If you're new here, I have to give my little plug. Beautiful message. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the badge. And so I got to do my little plug or my guides get upset with me. If you're not familiar, I have a YouTube channel, and that's under Scorpio Medium. If you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you would go over there and subscribe. You'll find all my videos that I have here over there. The only difference is that if you would miss a live, you can catch it. I usually upload my lives over there. I do my lives Sunday through Wednesday between 7 and 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Generally, sometimes I'm a little early, sometimes I'm a little late. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can find my emails in my bio here or my bio over there. I am also a medium if you're not familiar. And if you would like to book a channeling session with somebody on the other side, that's how you would do that. You would email me and we would set that up. I think I pretty much covered everything. Does anybody else have anything else they want to talk about or add tonight? Anybody? Feel free. You're not interrupting me at all. Going once? Anybody? Going twice? Okay, guys. Well, it looks like I'm pushing almost to my hour mark. So if nobody has anything else they want to add or talk about. How do I connect with my guides? Well, when I first started connecting with them, I connected through meditation. That's how I first started getting my messages through them, I guess you could say. And now they pretty much just talk to me throughout the day. I guess you could say I'm clairaudient, so I hear them. And sometimes it's just an intuitive message too. But anybody can connect to their guides. I believe everybody has abilities. People just haven't learned how to tap into them. But generally, like if you go out in nature and just sit and learn how to quiet your mind, it's a lot easier that way. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that so much. And so, yeah, it's changed a lot over the last year and a half. Like I said, even to channel somebody, I would have to sit in my room where it was dark and meditate and really focus. And like today at my job, I vacuum a store in the morning. I do 2 jobs. And I was telling the gal that I work with today, because she knows I'm a medium and I've channeled her son. He's passed over. And I said, it's crazy how things have changed for me in the last year and a half, because I literally, well, more of a year, because I didn't know that I was a medium right away. I was talking to my guides probably 5 months or so before I started channeling the other people from the other side. But how everything has changed in a year, like I said, I would literally have to like get myself into meditation, not always have to be in the dark, but get into meditation and, really quiet my mind to pull in somebody. And like today I was at work vacuuming and all of a sudden this girl's that worked there, she was putting out clothes and all of a sudden her grandpa came to me and, well, first, I guess I should say, so I walked by her and I got complete body chills, which usually means somebody's with me. And so then I walked back over to the aisle where she was and I said, by chance, have you lost somebody anytime recently or any? And then she said, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then I went back to vacuuming and then he started talking to me and I was like, oh, okay. So then I went back. So yeah, so it's crazy how that happens. But anyway, does anybody else have any questions or anything else they want to talk about tonight? Anybody got a loss or anything? That's amazing. Oh, thank you. It is amazing. It's kind of crazy too. Some of the, I don't know if a journey is the right word to use that it's put me on. I can be anywhere, right? A year to the date of the weekend that my husband had passed. My friend had taken me on a hike that my husband and I always wanted to do, and we never did it. And it was crazy because we had went up and did the hike. We went to the top. And of course, I picked up a girl because I didn't realize a girl had, for TikTok purposes, unalived herself. A 17-year-old girl had unalived herself the week before. And I don't listen to any news or anything, so I wasn't aware of what was happening. And there was like a little memorial up at the top. And I got up there and I got chills and I felt called to meditate. So I found a nice quiet spot and I sat down and I received this message, but I didn't know who was talking to me, And so I was like, okay. So I took the message, right? And I do my messages every day in reels. And at that point, that weekend, I think I had like 5 reels. My guide was busy that day and that weekend. And so I like to do them out in nature a lot of the times. And so I told my friend, I said, I have about 5 reels I need to do while we're out here. And so we would stop along the trail on the way down and do a reel here or there, when people weren't walking by. And normally when my friend sees, because she worked at a pet grooming place, and so if she sees a dog, she's like, oh, what kind of dog do you have? Blah, 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 right? And I'm just not normally that way. I love pets, don't get me wrong, and a lot of times I'll stop and pet them, but I don't usually get into too much conversation about somebody's dog. And this lady started walking towards us with a dog. And just something in me, my guide was like, ask her about her dog. And I was like, really? Ask her about her dog? And my friend was even like stunned, right? Because this isn't normally my thing. It was her thing. And so this lady walked up and I asked her about her dog. And my friend was telling her what I was doing, that I do reels and things like that I talk to my guides and they give me messages and stuff. And she proceeded to say that she had lost her mother. Well, I started to get chills. And she also said that her dad had crossed over and her friend. And as soon as she said her friend had crossed over, that he unalived himself the December before that, I got complete body chills, felt called to meditate again. So here I go. I sit over on the side of the trail. There's people walking by me and I'm like meditating, right? Because I'm like, felt called to meditate. And I get this message from her friend, right? And so I walk back over. My friend was talking to her while I was meditating. I walk back over to this lady and I said to her, I said, I have complete body chills. Well, instead of saying I have complete body chills, which is my confirmation that somebody is with me generally, I said, I have complete body cheers. And normally I would have just like dismissed that. And my guide goes, no, that's important. You need to know that detail. And so I said to her, I said, I started to tell you I have complete body chills. And instead I said, cheers. And as soon as I said cheers to her, this lady started to cry. And I was like, oh gosh, I made her cry. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. You guys can tap that screen. It really is helpful. And I always make people cry where I go, and I don't mean to. And so she started to cry, and then she proceeded. And so then I give her the message from her friend that I had gotten on the side of the trail while I was meditating. And she had proceeded to tell me that there was a memorial. Her friend was a motorcycle guy, and at one of the bars that he used to, or places he used to frequent, they have a memorial to him, and it said cheers to, and then his name. And that's why when I said cheers, that's why it was relevant. And I'm actually getting chills now, so he could be here. But anyway, just a cute little story. So, and then to make a long story short, so when I had meditated at the top of the mountain, or the lookout where we were, when I was called before, I'm like, I didn't know who was talking to me. I was just getting a message, right? Because I hadn't heard about this girl that had unalived herself. And so we did this hike on Sunday. Monday, I go back to work and I'm telling this girl at work about everything that had happened. And she told me, she goes, oh, well, I know all about that. Didn't you hear about it? She goes, it's all over Facebook. This girl had unalived herself on September 11th. And she pulled up her Facebook, the Facebook post about it, and showed me. And as soon as she showed me that, I got complete chills. And then I got confirmation that it was this girl who had come through to me on the mountain. She wanted me to give a message to her family, right? And where I live we're in a small area, but it's not that small where like I know everybody, right? And so, and she kept coming to me then for about, I think it was like 2 weeks. She would pop into my meditation in the morning before I would go to work. And she'd be like, please, you need to tell my parents, right? That, and give them the message. And I was like, sweetie, I want to help you, but I don't even know who your parents are, right? And so I talked to, my friend, and and people that I were talking to, they're close to me at the time. And I was like, I don't know what to do because I don't know her parents, but literally she wouldn't leave me alone. Like, she wanted me to get her message to her family. And so finally I had decided, I went on the funeral home, and they still had, so maybe it was like a week and a half. I don't remember exactly, but funeral home still had the thing where you could like leave messages for the family. And so I just left a nice little message there for the family and what she told me to repeat to them or relay to them. And then she never visited my meditation again. So I literally got two messages in that one little hike, right? And so it's just crazy how things work, and how, you know, once they find out you're a channel, they come to you, right? And that happens to me all the time now. Sorry to go into a big long story. Hopefully I didn't bore everybody. Thank you. And I hope that they took it well, because like I just said, I just told them, you know, I didn't know your beautiful daughter. I believe that this is a gift from the Creator, from God. And this is the message she wanted me to relay to you, you know, and I did. And like I said, she's never been back since. So I'm assuming I put her at peace, and hopefully them as well. So thank you for the badge and all the likes, guys, and all of the gifts. I appreciate it so much. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to add or talk about tonight? Need to get off your chest? Anybody? While you're waiting, I'm going to grab a drink. I get thirsty. Okay, well, going once. Anybody? Thank you, Jody, for that badge. I so appreciate that so much. Okay. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything else I want to add tonight, I appreciate you all for hopping on. I appreciate all the badges, all the gifts, everything, and for you guys hopping on tonight. Appreciate that so much. I hope you all have a great night. Remember to make tomorrow great, because it's a choice. And I'm going to just flip back here really quick if you're just hopping on. So tonight we were talking about building trust with yourself and committing to yourself. And so I'm going to read to you the very last line that my guide said. The journey is yours. Live it your way and make yourself happy. You're the only one that can truly make yourself happy. So I'm going to leave you on that note. Breezy, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Like I said, I hope you all have an amazing night. Remember to make tomorrow great. It is a choice. And I'm going to say on that note, until we meet again.